Story 1. Taking out the trash. I haven't dealt with anything like this since it happened. So, for the record, this was back in late September, early October. I was sitting at home, watching Netflix, relaxing. I'm a single guy by myself, with not much to do, so I thought I would have a movie night. It was pouring down rain, so I thought it would be best to just stay inside, not really go out. I'm not a huge fan of the rain, after all. After watching a segment of show, I decided to go use the restroom. Then decided to go take out the trash, since it was quite full. My trash can is near the end of my driveway, like most people. So I get my trash bag, and as I'm walking out the door, I see something off at the front of my driveway, near where my trash can is. Because it's night, and it's pouring down rain, it's pretty hazy. Like if you've ever been driving in the rain, the moisture or the rain just creates this foggy haze. I don't know how to describe it, but I saw a figure at the end of my driveway, and for the first second, I thought it was a person, until I stopped and squinted. The only light coming from my porch light, which gave me enough light to see that it wasn't a person at all. It was a dog that was standing up on its hind legs, and appeared to be broader and taller than any dog I've ever seen or heard of. It made me stop, and I got scared, because within a split second of me realizing that this was a dog standing up, it turned and looked at me, and I could see that it had glowing eyes. I know that might sound cheesy, but it's the same way lights reflect into a deer's eyes, except the glow wasn't a greenish blue like with the deer. These were like a yellow-orange color. As soon as it turned its head to face me, I could see roughly just how big it was, and realized this was something far more than a dog. I'm not sure what it was doing, or which direction it was facing to obscure my full view of it. But as soon as it looked at me, I dropped the trash right on my porch and ran back inside, terrified, thinking to myself, what kind of animal is down by the front of my driveway? I locked my door, closed the curtains, and began pacing, not sure what to do. So I pulled up my phone and began searching rapidly, looking for any dogs or any animals that walk upright on two legs. It came up with searches, like bears, but this thing looked nothing like a bear. It looked very dog-like, like a big dog walking around on two legs, but it didn't even have the legs of a dog, which is why I initially thought it was a person. In fact, the entire body, just about everything about it, screamed man, except for the head. The thought of a werewolf popped in my mind, but I quickly dismissed it, because, well, it's just not reality. And as I kept searching, I came upon something called a Dogman. Much to my dismay and disbelief at first, I had to spend some time reading about it, and realizing that after all the accounts that I had spent time reading, everything matched the description, almost to a T. Of course, encounters varied from description to description, some describing them as hunched over canine-like, while some describe them as gray hyena-ish looking creatures. But what I saw that night fits a very general description. So I thought I would look online and see if there was anybody I could talk to. I spent probably a good 2 hours reaching out to all sorts of people. The BFRO, a guy named Vic Hundiff, who seems to specialize in Dogman encounters, although I haven't listened to his show. You, and a handful of others. So far, I've only gotten a couple responses back. Everybody confirming that I probably did indeed see a Dogman. While that is terrifying, my other question is, why was it at the end of my driveway? And should I be concerned? Is this thing going to hurt me or try and attack me? Am I in danger? Any help would be great. Thank you. Story 2. Grizzly Killer. This occurred many, many moons ago, when I was a young boy, with my father, hunting up in Alaska. You know, for a long time, I never believed in creatures like Dogman, or even Bigfoot, until this particular hunting trip with my father, when I saw with my own eyes, and my father too, a Dogman rip out the throat of an adult male grizzly bear, all through my dad's rifle scope. I didn't realize it at first, that is exactly what we were seeing. But now that I'm older and time has passed, and I have time to process what kind of animal I saw, there's no doubt in my mind that this was a full-on battle between the alphas of the woods. My father wasn't intentionally hunting bear. We were just up on a high perch, and my dad was scoping around with his binoculars, and after looking about 300 yards out, give or take, he spotted something incredibly large, which turned out to be a male adult grizzly bear. He told me, "Son, take a look at this." He handed me the rifle with the scope as he continued to look through the binoculars. I looked at the direction he pointed and can see that something even larger was coming upon this grizzly bear. My dad, who appeared just as shocked as I was, did not know what animal is bigger than a grizzly bear, and what this large dark shape descending upon this bear from behind. We both watched in horror as this thing moved very quickly and jumped on the back of this grizzly bear, appearing at least slightly larger than it. As we looked through the scope, it appeared to be a giant wolf that looked very human-like. It reached around and grabbed the bear by the throat, dug in, and ripped its entire throat out in one fluid motion. My dad started hollering and freaking out, not sure what we were witnessing or what this animal was. He told me, "Son, I've never seen a wolf do that or get that big. I didn't realize Alaska had these kind of wolves up here." What I witnessed that day was like watching a trained assassin sneak up on an innocent victim and execute a kill perfectly, without any hesitation, without any struggle, and to do that to an adult male grizzly bear. If you know anything about grizzly bears, they're huge, massive killing machines. You don't want to cross one. After this wolf killed this grizzly bear, that was it. There was no eating. It just left it and deserted quickly. So fast, we didn't even see where it went. It was like a blur. It was just gone. My father, mainly my father, was more shocked than anything. And because I was so young and naive, I wasn't quite fully processing and understanding what we had seen, what that I had saw. But my dad just kept telling me, "Son, I had no idea we had wolves like that up here, that got that big, or that fast. There was something different about that wolf," he told me. Something he could not explain. I almost wonder if he was afraid to truly tell me and go into all the details and didn't want to scare me, being a young boy. There ain't much else to add to the story. It was basically a quick kill. The grizzly bear didn't even have time to react to what was going on. And what's also amazing too, is the grizzly bear made noise coming out of the forest to the clearing in which we saw. It wasn't trying to be stealthy, just moving slowly. But this thing, had we not been paying attention, we would have never even heard it make a noise. That's one thing that scares me. It was completely silent, never made a noise, from moving to the bear to moving outside of the area. Even when it killed it, it was the perfect assassination, right before our very eyes. Something my father and I still talk about to this day. Story 3. The Halloween Prop. Okay, So this just happened, this Halloween, October 31st, 2020. I was driving down my driveway, which is at least a half-mile long. Yes, it's really that long. When I got to the end, I was about to make a turnoff to the right, when, as I checked both ways, left first, then right, and as I checked the first way, I saw what appeared to be a large black wolf eating a deer not too far away on the side of the road opposite of where I was. I had a double take for a second, because either we really do have wolves here, which I've been here my entire life and have never seen one, or this was a cleverly designed prop that somebody put up. Except it was a living animal. It was using its hands like a person and ripping apart the skin underneath and eating. The other thing was too, as I looked, this wolf was crouched down just like a person would if they were picking up something off the ground and eating it. It looked to me that this thing had stumbled upon a dead deer, probably hit by a truck. It looked to be roadkill anyway, from what I could see, and was casually just eating it, not even minding any attention over to my vehicle. I don't think this thing was more than 30 to 40 feet away from me. Had I gotten out of my truck, I could have walked right over to it. It didn't even seem fazed that I was sitting there at the end of my driveway, staring at it for a moment or two. It never even bothered to look over at me, which was strange, because it was Halloween night. I just dismissed it as some sort of clever prop, even though it was the most realistic looking thing I'd ever seen. I just pulled off right to where I had to go. As I was coming back later that night, flipping my left blinker signal on to pull into my driveway, I happened to gaze ahead to the spot where I originally saw it. The deer and this thing were both gone. No signs or traces of either of them. No blood, nothing. And just for a little bit of reference, I live pretty far out in the middle of nowhere, on top of a grade. People do pass by through here, but it's not a super busy road, and I would see no reason for anybody to take a highly realistic prop and stick it out here, one that's possibly animatronic and moves. But I'm telling you, from what I saw, it didn't look to be animatronic, or a puppet, or any of that. This, what I was seeing, was a real animal, eating a meal. Look, moral of the story is, I'm not coming to any conclusion. I'd rather you do that for me. I'm sending this in to you because I feel like what I saw was a strange animal that we don't normally see around here. If you, or somebody you know, has a story or encounter they would like to share with me, or have me read on this channel, please send it to stories@whatlurksbeneath.com. That can be found in the description below.